Came there, and the house he stayed in, he had to stay in with one of my godbrother named Lakshmi Narayan. So one morning I get up early and I went with my camera to the house, and when they came out, I took this picture in front of the house. Very beautiful picture, you can look at it.
So good, man.
Remember this picture?
Yes.
No wonder I took this picture. All he says I have it, and I am. I still have the original. And I called Lakshman last year and I told him, I said, Prabhu, do you know I have a picture of Guru Maharaj in front of your house? He said, send it to me. So I took a picture and I sent it threefold. So what I'd like to say, Guru Maharaj is saying that he was chosen to give initiation in certain parts, but I had a relationship with Guru Maharaj on a book cover named Life Come From Life. He was on that book cover with a grey chadar. And I looked at him in that picture and I said, I wonder if he's one of Srila Prabhupada initiating disciples. I would like to get initiation from him. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, I got His Holiness Satsuru Maharaj as my Guru Maharaj. And I'm very happy to have him. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Satsarupada Goswami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavani Prastityadi Satarini Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavani Prastyachati Satarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Happy Vyasa Puj, Happy Vyasa Puj, Happy Vyasa Puj to you. Happy Vyasa Puj, Happy Vyasa Puj, Happy Vyasa Puj to Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much.
I've tried to be prepared this year. So, I'm going to sit down. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Satsvarup Das Goswami Nityanamani Satsvarupa Bidam Bande Vinitam Sada Krishna Bhakti Grantham. We cannot understand the nature of God. So Krishna expands himself into the form of the spiritual master with whom we can have a personal relationship. It is very special to see your person and hear from you directly. This visible vapu enthuses us, and the reciprocal love grows exponentially. Every offering of devotional service is accepted by the spiritual master on behalf of Krishna. He is transparent via medium by which we develop loving exchanges with Krishna. Since the spiritual master is the confidential servant of the Lord, he is as worshipable as the Lord himself. The spiritual master is worthy of all honor, respect, and worship because he is the representative of Lord Krishna. He accepts our worship and disseminates transcendental knowledge. This is the mercy of the spiritual master. Yasha Prasada Bhagavat Prasada. Only by the grace of the spiritual master we can achieve the mercy of Krishna. If we can become loving servants of Krishna's pure devotee, then Krishna will be pleased. Our Guru Maharaj is very dear to Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna. When Guru Maharaj speaks, I hear Srila Prabhupada. This is Parampara. This Vyasa Puja is an opportunity to relish and further appreciate the glories of our spiritual master. We are here to show our gratitude that he has taken responsibility for saving our conditioned souls from repeated birth and death, and is bringing us back home, back to Godhead. We are here to renew our vows and to take up this process with intensity. I thank you for showering your mercy on this wretched conditioned soul. I pray to become dear to the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna. And I pray to become closer to you in transcendental loving devotional service. Lord Chaitanya said that to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that even the servants in his home were dear. Even the dog in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was dear to Lord Chaitanya. So, I am not much better than a dog. I'm a two-legged animal. But I pray to become dear to Satsrup Maharaj in the house of Satsrup Maharaj and become dear to Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. Thank you for bringing me into this process of devotional service and for keeping me close.
Guru Maharaj, 30 years ago, you welcomed me to your association. I was a college student wandering in the wilderness, broken in spirit, and thanks to you and your gracious presence, my life was changed. Thanks to you, 30 years ago, I began a journey to become a Christian minister with your blessing and with your encouragement. And 1 year ago, on this day, you welcomed this prodigal son back into your broad family. And for this, I am so ever grateful. You wrote that a single Tulsi leaf offered with devotion can outweigh the universe. And it is that those powerfully simple words that have now become a guide for me as I seek to serve the parishioners who have been entrusted to me. A year ago, after I was so mercifully reunited with you, I realized that at midlife it was time for me to give back, because even in my 30 years and as a minister, you were there in the background. You were there continuing to link me to Srila Prabhupada. My books, your books, Prabhupada's books, continue to be on my study shelf for all of those years. And I received so much from you over the years. And at midlife, after a 30-year hiatus, I knew that it was time for me to devote myself to you in any way that I could through the reading of your books, and certainly if there were some simple service that I might offer. And so you offered me an opportunity to come to Varaha Bhavan and to prepare simple meals for you, and that has been a tremendous blessing. Your books remain a powerful source of inspiration. I find that, especially in your Everyday Just Right series, a remarkable collection that breaks open every possible genre and gives to the contemporary reader an opportunity to enter into the mood of one who is dear to the Lord, one who is a poet, one who combines memoir with Shastric commentary, and one who enables us to enjoy and to cultivate a living relationship not only with you but with Prabhupada himself. And for that, I am so ever grateful. You have made me a better Christian. You have made me and continue to make me a better pastor. And I know that as Prabhupada has built a house that will embrace the entire world, I know also that the expansive nature of your heart welcomes someone like me, who was gone for so many years, back into your life, back into the life of your family. And I don't know what to say except that I am a simple, blessed person who is so grateful to be here this morning, who is so grateful to come to your ashram. And it is with all of my heart that I pledge myself to you in this second half of my life, if you will, and that I offer to you my unalloyed love and respect and devotion, and I seek to serve you in any way that I can, and I seek to serve this mission so that the people with whom I am entrusted might know that indeed the love of God is what is so desperately needed in this world. You've inspired me to preach in a new and different way. You have inspired me to move my people, my parishioners, not simply to recognize the reality of God, but to have hearts that are filled with devotion for God. So I thank you so much for welcoming me home. I thank you so much for your books, which move my soul. I thank you for the healing that you brought to me 30 years ago, and for the healing and the strength that you give me today and always. So my heart belongs to you, O Guru Maharaj. May I serve you today and always. Hare Krishna.
Satsang Vande Vinitam Sarabhushanam Bhakti Grantam Nagini Bhakti Vedanta Sikritam. Please accept my humble obeisances on this wonderful Vyas Puj day. All glories to your divine lotus feet, which are the very source of great beauty and profound significance. Out of great compassion, you kindly instruct us, plead with and cajole us again and again to please take to Krishna consciousness that there is nothing but illusory happiness in the material world, but we insist on remaining here. You demonstrate by your 10% surrendered example how to get free of material suffering, but we don't budge. How incredibly foolish. Out of your great love for all living beings, you constantly stress the chanting of Hare Krishna. This is the highest welfare work as described in Shastra, and those who read your books on the subject or attempt to do so are among the most fortunate beings in the universe. You say in Japa Reform Notebook, the chanting is deceivingly simple. Just repeat some names. But the mind is rebelling because if you say these names, then all the sense gratification will go away and you'll become a devotee of Krishna. The mind wants us to become a devotee of our nonsense mind. So although it's deceptively simple, it's hard to actually chant. Therefore, we stress it always. It's a simple process. If you try it in a simple way, it will not be difficult. But if you listen to your mind, it will be very difficult. Hare Krishna.
Is the Prabhupada books distribution. So I remember in the early 80s, Prabhupada, the black cover book, he built a house in which the whole world can live, that the devotees were distributing so many of those books. But it was so nice just to read that. He built a house in which the whole world can live, and we would refer it to the black cover book with he built a house in which the whole world can live. So, Guru Maharaj, I want to say thank you for bringing us to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Fairly often now. Well, I'm only 3 hours away in Boston, and so Vani is always emphasized, but Vapu is the personal association with the spiritual master is, when it's available, is extremely important, and we have to take advantage of it like we're doing today. So in many years I never did, there wasn't that much opportunity. And even when the opportunity was there, a lot of times I didn't take advantage of it, or I didn't take advantage very well. I missed a lot of chances. I was reading and listening to your lectures, and of course Prabhupada's lectures and books. But now it's much, and I'm just glad that I've finally gotten a little smarter and take advantage of being able to come so easily. I'll tell one quick little incident that really illustrated for me and the essential nature of the guru-disciple relationship, or an aspect of it. An important aspect of it is that I went up to your room a few months ago, and I thought I had done something that you liked, and I offered my obeisance, and when I stood up, you chastised me for that, and I was like, I didn't know what to think, and I was like, and but the example is good. The spiritual, the whole nature, or part of the relationship is that spiritual master is somebody that you can't say anything back to. Anybody else you could say, "Oh, come on," or something, or at least ask it. What? Oh, for bringing somebody. And I thought, anyways, it just brought. I mean, I knew that's the nature, but it just brought it home to me again. The spiritual master is somebody that you don't talk back to. You don't even ask why you're saying that or anything. You just take it and try to learn from it. Take it as humbly as possible. Anyway, that's what. And of course, probably the most important thing I learned repeatedly and constantly from coming up there is that it means to be a servant of the servant, from Baladev and Trinidad Baladev and many others, like Kirtan Ras and of course Ram Roy, and you really get a first-hand look at a real servant, a servant. That's what I would say.
One thing that was sticking in my mind was you talking about the zonal acharya days, talking about spontaneity. So it wasn't so spontaneous then. But I tell you, for me it worked, because I'm not. I remember Baladev came to Boston, as a refugee from Berkeley, and he was spontaneous. And he was talking about, I think it was the second time I saw you, it was your second visit to Boston after I joined in September of '78, October. And he was making all kinds of arrangements. We got to do this, we're going to do this. Look at me, what are you going to do? And we were in that back room, overlooking the parking lot on the second, third floor. And I'm thinking, he's like a pure devotee, kind of saintly, what does he need from me? What am I going to do? And then Baladev looked at me like, what, did somebody give you a lobotomy and forgot to put your brain back in your head? He really gave me this. Maybe I'm not getting something here. But at any rate, I needed that structure. I mean, it felt right, but, for me to go out and take the initiative to some of these younger, and nobody's young, but later generational people, that's not, but it was, Krishna made the arrangement, and I'm very grateful for that. And it's definitely worked for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm very grateful for it. Thank you.
I prepared something, but before I read what I prepared, I just wanted to say I realized when Brahma Sampradaya was speaking he answered a question that was asked a long time ago. You asked Srila Prabhupada, what kind of person does Krishna want me to be? Srila Prabhupada answered, this boy is very nice. He brings me mangoes. Everybody chuckled a little. Said, no, this is love. But then I thought when he was speaking, he said, he's a poet, he's an artist, he's a guru, he's a friend. So I think it took a long lifetime to answer that question, but the answer is very clear. So I just wanted to thank you for phrasing it that way and for bringing that up. And I also wanted to say I met a young lady who was, I guess, 4 years since she began to seek through Krishna consciousness her spiritual life. And she told me she already had some difficult experiences that were challenging for her with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But she said, I said, well, I used to live at Girinagari. Sometimes things could be a little difficult. I understand, because she knew about Girinagari. She said, but I met a devotee there. It made all the difference in the world for me. Well, Muktavanya, that's who it is. So I just wanted to pass that on. She's studying to be a pastoral person, a pastoral psychologist or a pastoral counselor. She attends the University of Virginia, a prestigious institution. She's graduating soon. Dear Satsvarupa Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, in the summer of 1977, I put in for a transfer from Puerto Rico to Dallas. Puerto Rico to Dallas? Apparently this wasn't a fully whimsical desire just based on easy living. I had been to the, how shall I say, less exotic temple in Dallas. In Puerto Rico, we were living on the beach at that time, as Baladev will remember. I knew what I was getting into. Srila Prabhupada was ill at that time, and I was looking for a senior person to guide me. I had met you several times, and we had engaged in private talks. As a young brahmachari, and I use the term loosely, I had already traveled with a sannyasi before, but the deep spirit of renunciation did not run strong in me. When I arrived in Dallas, I knew you were in charge, and that's what I was looking for. Shortly after my arrival, the temple president introduced me to a young lady for association purposes. Since I had, besides looking to be under your care, also asked about getting married. After associating for a few weeks, my potential partner marched into the president's office and told him, quote, I don't want to marry that guy, it's just not going to work, end quote. Quote, you're a little late, he told her. He was here an hour ago and said the same thing. Of course, now we've been married 38 years. That's another story. In December of 1977, just after the parting mentioned above, you called me to assist you directly in Los Angeles. Thank you. Thank you. I'll mention a few things that were really important that occurred during that time from my perspective. One, we were driving somewhere in California, and you were reading aloud Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's essay on assuming the responsibility of being guru. You were marveling at the language and the message, and preparing for days and decades ahead. It felt like such a special time, both sad and hopeful. Also around that time, maybe in January 1978, you, along with Hridayananda Maharaj and maybe Charu Prabhu and some other senior leaders were in Berkeley, and you met with leading scholars interested in the Krishna consciousness movement And you had a dialogue with them about how it would all go on now that the founder had left. Dr. Stilson Judah was there, and others. I was engaged in, I know what I was doing. I was serving the attendees and listening as well. It was a faith-building experience because of the way you and the others explained how things would continue by following Srila Prabhupada's direction, and they have. The next month, we left, a group of us from California, 4 of us, yourself, Jayadvaita, Prabhu at that time, myself, and Dandava, a member of Guru Kripa Maharaj's Namhata party, who would act along with me as a driver for what turned out to be a cross-country, west to east goodwill tour, where you visited many temples and encouraged the communities, and everyone seemed to truly appreciate the visits. We finally ended up in New York City, and then from there went on to Mayapur for the first Gaur Purnim festival after Srila Prabhupada had departed. One day, as we crossed country, this was February 6th, 1978, early in the travel across country, to be exact. We were in Arizona, and we rented a motel room after a long day of driving. I thought it'd be nice if we could watch a little TV and relax, since we had been driving all day. You agreed. It was good. It was all right. Jayadvaita was there. It had to be kosher. So we turned the TV on, and there it was, the Lou Grant Show. It was a story about a family that had a child, a son, who joined the Hare Krishna movement. And it involved a morality lesson about the parents wanting to deprogram him, and the show was set in a newsroom, so there was all this talk about freedom of religion and conscience, and we watched that show together, and it's funny how you can remember a specific room. The date came from the internet. The only way I remember that. But it was a very nice experience that day. And then finally, perhaps the next day, after driving, we pulled over on the side of the highway, and you got out to stretch and more. The more is what I'd like to mention. You stood fixed in posture with the wind blowing. Some hills were visible in the background. You held a small tape recorder in your hands, into which you began speaking about your memories of Srila Prabhupada at 26 2nd Avenue. You said you wanted to do this before they disappeared. The rest, as they say, is history. With all gratitude.
I'm very grateful to Guru Maharaj for lifting us up out of the ocean of nescience from the material world. I joined in Boston on August 18, 1983, and all these years I've always kept you in my heart, despite not always revealing that, especially since only within the last few years have I been attending your glorious Vyasa Puja day here in upstate New York. I've been serving in India for
approximately 15 years, 15 or 17 years, and so I haven't had that much opportunity. And the reason I was in India so many years, what happened was I believe it was in 1993 that Your Holiness had the intention of residing in Vrindavan 4 months out of the year. So I decided to note that down, and I went back to America. Before I went back to America, the last day that you were in Vrindavan, I approached Your Holiness, and your servant at that time was Madhu Mangal Prabhu, and I revealed my desire to also live in Vrindavan and be able to have the chance to serve you, and very fun and very peculiar, very funny was that I'm losing my English. Sorry. When I revealed my mind, both Your Holiness and His Grace Madhu Mangal Prabhu simultaneously replied by saying, "You have to do what you have to do." So I took that as a positive. And unfortunately, of course, 2 years later, I think it was 95, I already got my 5-year long-term visa for India, and when I came back to India, you had changed your itinerary. So I was stuck in Vrindavan. But I've always had your love in my heart, and I'm very grateful. Thank you very much.
Hearing some of the expressions of the wonderful devotees, we've been together for a long time, 40 years and more. You were mentioning how many of your disciples are coming from this zonal guru system. But I would have to go along with Stita D. Muni Prabhu saying how it definitely works for me. I remember when I joined in the 55th Street Temple, and Naranjana Swami, he was 26 years old at the time and I was only 19, he very emphatically and clearly told me how Sasvarup Maharaj is your spiritual master. And, it was explained to me how Prabhupada had left the planet, and now his disciples are like that, and I immediately accepted. And Prabhupada says in many places in his books, he'll even say the secret to success is absolute faith in one's spiritual master. This Guru Nishta is the absolute backbone and mainstay of all levels of spiritual life and advancement. And you have that just incredible, unswerving, and powerful Guru Nishta for Srila Prabhupada, and more that, as we say in your prayer, you're writing Bhakti Grantha, you're writing beautiful books about glorifying the path of devotional service, but in particular and specifically about service to Srila Prabhupada, understanding his greatness, his love, so many things, wonderful things. And then, for us who, the November 14th, 1977, it's like, kind of like an iron curtain falls, everything before that and everything after, everything is completely different. So, we can lament, oh, I didn't get to meet Prabhupada, or I wasn't initiated by Prabhupada, but you're Prabhupada's senior most disciple, and it's not by accident. Prabhupada said that you American boys and girls were sent to me. You're my Guru Maharaj Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mercy to help me. Like that original instruction, I think that you should preach this message in English. This will do good for you and those who will come to help you. So I had a very sublime realization on Radhastami 2016. Last year, you came down, we had like a little thing, and you were wearing your original red japa beads.
Yeah.
And I just thought how beautiful you looked, just so, 50 years of devotional service, and you still have the same japa beads from 1966, and it was one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen, and I remembered it forever. So, any faultiness in the guru, zonal guru you're assigned, and we didn't relationship, I definitely see it as Guru Parampara arrangement, Krishna's mercy. Everything is exactly perfect as it must be and should be. And like Muktavanya was saying about the importance of Vapu. So you live 3 hours away. I live only 2.5. And if I take the train, it's only 2 hours. So it's very wonderful that you're making this as your base and your headquarters. And I want to try to come up as much as possible and do service, which is service to you means service to Baladev here. Servant to the servant. He's given his total everything to serve you, and it's very inspiring. And learning how to serve you is to learn how to make Baladev happy. And also your dedication to trying to chant the pure holy name and realization and instruction. So anything that I'm doing in New York, it's all your credit, because in and of itself, I'm just like a croaking frog or a loudly braying donkey or something, but because I'm initiated by you, then maybe I can bring forth some semblance of the holy name to New York. So thank you very much.
First of all, this morning I got a letter, but it's for you. And it's from Matthew Wheelock. So I'm going to read that first. It says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnavas. While I'm not physically present at the celebration of your Vyasa Puja, I feel very grateful for the opportunity to write an offering, and I pray Krishna will help me be clear and articulate. I have already been reading your books for a few years when a good friend sent me a copy of your first 3 volumes of Every Day Just Right. I may have already been aware of your artwork, but something about having so many pieces collected together with your writing really excited me. As I worked through the first 10 or so volumes, I became inspired to explore how I could express bhakti through my artwork. Thank you for inspiring us to serve Krishna in so many different ways. You have given so much to us through your lifetime of service to Srila Prabhupada's mission. I pray to spend the rest of my life at your feet, rendering service and begging to understand the deep love that you have for Srila Prabhupada and Sri Sri Radha Govinda. Thank you for teaching us to engage in devotional service with sincerity and with our creativity. Your humble servant, Matthew Wheelock. And he sent you some of his art. So I'll give that to you after that. So I wish I could just read that again and say, your humble servant, because I don't know if you know this, but Maharaj painted a portrait of me over here that's on Frankenstein some of the days. And then the other days on the pumpkin head lady, the jack-o'-lantern. That's just a joke. I do feel like that, and some of you have known me to be like that. So I think the best thing I should do is start by saying thank you to all of the devotees that actually really come and serve Maharaj. My husband, Sachisuta, who's hiding in the back so he doesn't have to speak an offering. Possibly, I'm just guessing. And of course, Baladev was here every day, 24 hours a day, doing so much service. Ram Roy, who comes up as our sort of the helpmate and the wingman, so that we have remember the holy name and all of its ecstasy, and of course Hari Ashva. And Trubakram has spent an entire year cooking 3 meals a day for Maharaj, and Shastra and Haridas and all of those so many people that have over the years done so much seva, and Gurudas, of course. And I forgot anyone, raise your hand. But from my perspective, you have been, for me, and I'm sure for many of us, the voice of honesty in Krishna consciousness, the voice of constant and continual encouragement to be ourselves and offer what we have as our best seva. That means, it's interesting, as Matthew said the same thing, that if you're a painter, you're encouraged to paint. If you're a Christian minister, you're encouraged to do that seva. And I've always felt completely encouraged. And when I very, very first joined, the book that you had just written was the Bhakti Sutras. And it was one of the first books that I read. And I've always loved that text. So thank you for doing that. But one of the verses that always comes to mind when I walk into the VFW for your Vyasa Puja and see the American flag and all the military banners is that it says in the Narada Bhakti Sutras that by the presence of a holy person, any place can become a tirtha. And so, thank you for making this entire village of Stuyvesant Falls, where Sachi and I moved so many years ago, into a dam. And thank you for providing an opportunity for so many devotees to come and be themselves in service to Krishna.
I was a little nervous with you. I fall asleep. I couldn't hear. At a certain point, I said, no, I couldn't hear in the beginning. I couldn't hear, and I'm so sorry for that. Then I fell asleep, but I heard a lot in the end. This is one of the programs. All these programs that I have, I love coming because I love hearing what you're going to say. So it's a very important program for me. I just appreciate everything about you. I appreciate hearing the devotees talk about you. It's like when Arjuna said like wonderful things about Krishna, he said, but Narada and Sita and they've all said this about you, and I myself have come to that conclusion. So when I hear them speak like that about you, it's always confirmations. I'm glad that someone else uses the words to say a lot of the things that my mouth can't get out. But I think you know that I am so grateful and so appreciative of you as a person. Most of the times people think of how much you've given us Krishna consciousness. And as you explained at our last meeting, all the books that you've written and all the things you've gone through, the road that you've taken us down. It's so encouraging that somebody would think so much that they would do things like this for you. And so then that makes you become my extra special person, because I only know another person like that, and that's Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada did so much to give us Krishna consciousness, but he also gave us you. And on top of that, I think in life, what did I really want? What really mattered? I wanted Krishna consciousness, and so I'm still trying, and you're still giving. But you also gave me Srila Prabhupada, and I'm just so ever grateful. I'm always going to try to come and get better and better, and I'm so sorry for falling asleep. But you know that these meetings that we have when you speak, they're the most important, because I like dissecting your messages. When you speak, I can hear, simply because everything that you say is important to me. So thank you so very much for being the captain of my ship.
Give his talk. But I wanted to point out that actually he puts that much energy and anxiety and gets that many headaches all year long just to write a book for us for this event, which he's going to present at 4 o'clock. So I've noticed in the past that a lot of people leave right after the feast, and they miss out on what Guru Maharaj actually loves the most and what he's giving us the most of. So I would ask that you consider that either today or in the future, that the 4 o'clock appointment or 4 o'clock meeting is as important or more important than this meeting, more personal, present for Guru Maharaj. Haribol.